You broke her trust. Now, nothing you say matters. Your words pass right through her like they're invisible. You know, if she gave you one more chance, you can prove you'd never betray her again. But her trust is gone. Does that mean it's hopeless? Can trust ever be rebuilt after being destroyed? Are there things that you can say to make her believe you? Actions you can take to help her let go of the past? Look, I know you feel defeated, like you destroyed something you can never rebuild. But not only is there a way, it's simpler than you think. Today, I'm going to show you the exact steps I used my clients to rebuild trust and restore connection. Right now, I want you to think of your marriage as a house that needs rebuilding. There's scaffolding that has to go up first to support the structure while you work. Each step I'm giving you today is another beam holding everything together. You need all of them because they build on top of each other. And the last one by far is the most powerful. So let's dive in. Step 1 is stop defending yourself. She's throwing accusations at you, things you know you aren't even true. She's attacking your character, pressing every single button that she can to get a reaction. Your instinct says defend. Don't. Here's what most men miss. When you defend yourself, when you minimize what happened, when you deflect blame, she doesn't see a man taking responsibility. She sees manipulation. She thinks you're only sorry because you got caught, not because you actually understand what you did. The problem isn't that you don't mean it. The problem is she can't tell if it's real. Let me explain. There's intrinsic change and extrinsic change. Intrinsic change comes from inside you. You genuinely see the wound you caused. You own it completely. You change even if she wasn't watching. Extrinsic means you're doing it to get something, to avoid consequences, to manipulate her back into feeling safe. Women can smell extrinsic effort from a mile away. So when you say things like, but I didn't mean it like that, or you're overreacting, what she hears is, he's only sorry because he got caught. He doesn't actually get it. That triggers one thought in her mind. He's going to do it again. So what do you do instead? You acknowledge what happened without defending yourself. You let her see you fully understand how this impacted her. Not because you're trying to win her back, because you actually get it. Here's what that sounds like. Hey, I understand why this hurt you so deeply. I broke your trust, and I know how important it is to you. I take full responsibility for my actions. Period. You don't argue with how she labels you. You don't debate whether her feelings are justified. You can absolutely set boundaries around how you speak and how she speaks to you. You can say, I need you to communicate without calling me names if we're going to work through this, right? But never minimize what you did. Here's why this matters. When you stop defending and start owning it completely, something shifts. She feels safer. And when she feels safer, she becomes more open to hearing what you have to say. That's why this is step 1. Step 2 is finding the bleeding points. So here's what I've learned working with hundreds of men. Okay, most guys think they have 100 problems in their marriage. They don't. They have 2 or 3 core wounds bleeding out into everything else. Okay. You have to find those bleeding points, because if you just keep putting band-aids on surface level behaviors, nothing actually changes. You'll keep repeating the same patterns over and over. Think about it like this. You go to the doctor complaining about a headache, fatigue, dizziness. The doctor could give you aspirin for the headache, caffeine for the fatigue, and medicine for the dizziness. But what if the real problem is you're dehydrated? None of those treatments fix the actual issue. They just mask the symptoms. That's what's happening in most marriages. Guys try to fix 100 different surface level problems without ever addressing the core wound causing them. Maybe it's fear of abandonment. Maybe it's feeling like you're never good enough. Maybe it's shame for something in the past. Whatever it is, the bleeding point is creating all the other issues. The lying, the avoidance, the emotional distance, the self-sabotage. Until you find that bleeding point, nothing changes. Here's what I want you to think about. What's the wound driving her behavior? What's the wound driving your behavior? What fear are you protecting? What fear is she protecting? Most men think they have 100 issues, but there are really only 2 or 3 bleeding points causing everything else. Until you locate those, you'll keep sabotaging what you're trying to save. If you never identify the source of why you're pushing her away, you're going to repeat it. I can guarantee that. And look, if you're sitting there thinking, I'm tired of guessing, I need a clear plan, I want you to know something. You can book a free call with me and my team right now. We'll walk you through exactly how the heroic husband method works. We'll help you find the specific bleeding points so you stop wasting time on surface level fixes. No fluff, just precision. The link is in the description below. All right, let's keep going. Step number 3 is be authentic, not just honest. Now, there's a difference between honesty and authenticity, and most men don't understand it. Honesty is telling the truth. Authenticity is being complete, unfiltered version of yourself. No mask, no performance, no hiding parts of you because you're afraid how she'll react. And authenticity is a higher need in every relationship, not just marriages. Every relationship. If you're not authentic in the relationship, it's built on a false foundation, and eventually it collapses. Let me show you the difference. Let's say a woman flirts with you at a work event. Honesty says, yeah, she flirted with me, but nothing happened. Authenticity says, yeah, she flirted with me, and honestly, I felt flattered. But I shut it down because I don't want that. It actually made me realize how much I value what we have. See the difference? Honesty withholds your internal experience. Authenticity reveals it. Honesty protects your comfort. Authenticity protects your relationship. Most men avoid authenticity for one reason: fear. They're afraid of her reaction. They think, if I tell her how I really feel, she's going to lose it. She's going to ask 1,000 questions. This is going to blow up. So they choose honesty instead. They don't lie, but they don't reveal the full truth either. Here's the problem. When she eventually finds out, and she won't trust you. Not because you lied, but because you were inauthentic. You hid parts of yourself to avoid conflict. And that makes her feel like she doesn't actually know who you are. Authenticity is a higher need than honesty because you can be honest and still hide the most important parts of yourself. But authenticity means showing her the real you, the parts you're proud of and the parts you're not. Think about the people in your life you trust the most. It's not because they're perfect, it's because they're real. They don't hide their struggles. They don't pretend to have it all together. They show you who they actually are. That's what creates trust. That's what creates safety, authenticity. Now, I know what you're thinking. If I'm that open, won't she lose respect for me? No. She'll lose respect if you're weak. But being authentic doesn't mean being weak. It means being strong enough to show her the truth without fearing her reaction. It means being confident enough to work through emotions with her instead of avoiding them. When you're authentic, she trusts you more and respects you more. And a woman needs both trust and respect to feel safe with you. So stop hiding behind honesty. Start showing authenticity. Step 4 is you have to establish your boundaries. What really holds men back from setting clear boundaries comes down to 2 things. First, they don't know what boundaries are. Second, they don't know how to set them. But once you establish them, they create the highest level of confidence and respect, not just from others, from yourself. This is who I am as a man. This is what I stand for. First, you have to have boundaries with yourself before you have boundaries with others. You have to have that. And most men don't. To establish boundaries, you have to know your values. What do you truly value? Because in every situation where you're at a crossroads, every good leader will tell you the same thing. Look at your values. A value is a signpost showing you where to go and what decision to make. Once you know your values, all you have to do is enforce them. Now, here's why most men don't enforce their boundaries. Fear. Just like being afraid of her emotions when you're authentic. You're afraid of getting her upset when you set boundaries. You don't feel confident dealing with conflict. Or she's on the edge of threatening to leave and you're terrified. So you don't establish your boundaries because you think it'll push her away. But that's completely backwards. When you establish yourself and what you stand for, when you say, this is not what I'm going to tolerate, and take action on that, but first you have to have those boundaries within yourself, she gains respect for you and she's more likely to come back. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but this whole process is counter to logic. It's emotional. You're thinking, if I push her away, why would she want me? But she needs respect. And she can only respect a man who's willing to hold his boundaries, even if it means losing her. You have to internalize that. Think about a tree in a storm. A tree bends too much, it snaps. But a tree that deepens its roots stands firm. Your boundaries are your roots. Without them, the first strong wind knocks you over. And she can't trust a man who falls every time life gets hard. Setting boundaries, first with yourself, does something critical. It meets her deepest needs, emotional safety. Without emotional safety, love cannot grow. It's the foundation for trust, intimacy, and real connection. Emotional safety is the cornerstone of her happiness in the relationship. A lot of this is biological. Attraction is an emotional response triggered by certain behaviors. Behaviors that signal, this person can help me survive. A woman chooses a man who can protect and provide, the ultimate protector and provider. When a man is protecting and providing at his highest level, she feels completely safe. She's not worried, she's relaxed. She can be in her feminine, beautiful, happy, loving state. Every time she criticizes you or doesn't trust you, it's because you displayed behavior that made her feel unsafe, minimizing her, shutting her down, not leading, being needy. All of those trigger emotional instability. From an evolutionary standpoint, a needy man can't protect her. As a man who lacks leadership can't make decisions in a crisis. As a leader of your family, you have to take decisive, immediate action. Any hesitation or doubt makes her feel completely unsafe, down to the smallest daily decision. When you're lazy or saying, I don't care what we do, she thinks, he's not going to lead me, so I have to lead, which puts her into her masculine. And that stresses her out. Let me give you 5 behaviors that destroy her emotional safety. 1 is fix-it mode. Whenever she has a problem, you go into logic brain. You try to analyze and think, if I can just get her to see it differently, she won't feel this way. But when you do that, she feels invalidated. She can't see differently when she's emotional. You can't fix the problem by being logical. You have to help her feel understood first. Number 2 is defending and reversing. She attacks your character, saying, you never, you always. You defend yourself. You ask, why don't you trust me? Or you bring up trauma, saying, you don't trust anyone because of your past. You're defending instead of listening. Number 3 is scorekeeping. You say things, and this is insidious, by the way. You say things like, but look at everything else I've done. For 10 years, I did nothing wrong. I only messed up the last 2 years. You're keeping score, trying to logic your way out of how she feels right now. It doesn't work. Number 4 is minimizing. But I've been good lately. Yeah, I did that a month ago, but I've been solid since then. You're minimizing her pain. Number 5 is false equivalency. I trust you even though you've hurt me before. This downplays her feelings and her healing process. All 5 of those destroy her sense of safety. Without safety, she can't trust you. Step 5, your word is your power. A man's power is his word, but too many men have weakened their own word. How? By over-apologizing, by saying I'm sorry without backing it up with action, by making promises they don't keep. Every time you do that, you weaken your word. And when your word is weak, she can't trust anything you say. The masculine power is in his word. When you say something, it should be done. Not because you're controlling, because you're a man of integrity. When you say you'll do something, you do it. When you say you'll change, you actually change. That's what makes your word powerful. But when you over-apologize, when you say, I'm sorry 10 times a day for every little thing, you dilute your word. It becomes meaningless. She stops believing you because your apologies aren't backed by action. Think about someone who's always late. Every time they say, I'm so sorry, it won't happen again, but it does again and again, eventually you stop believing them because of their actions. Their actions don't match their words. Their word has no power. That's what happens when you over-apologize without change. A lot of men struggle with this because they genuinely feel sorry, right? They mean it when they apologize, but what she's looking for isn't your apology, it's genuine change. And change requires action. Think of it like a bridge that keeps getting damaged. You can stand on one side and promise the bridge is safe. You can apologize for the damage and you can explain how sorry you are, but until you actually rebuild the bridge with steel and concrete, nobody's crossing it. Your words are the promise, your actions are the steel and concrete. Without both, the bridge stays broken. That's what backing your word looks like. Now, here's what a lot of guys do wrong. They take action and then immediately tell their wives about it. Look at what I'm doing. Look at how I'm changing. Don't do that. Because then it looks like you're only doing it to make her happy. She wants you to do it for yourself because then it'll last. If you're making real change, let her discover it on her own. Don't force it in her face. That's low value. Your word should be so powerful that when you say something, she knows it's done. Not because you're perfect, because you're a man of integrity. You don't say things you don't mean. You don't make promises you can't keep. And when you apologize, it's rare, it's meaningful, and it's always followed by action. That's how you build the power of your word. That's how she learns to trust you again. Now, step 6 is to address the situation. I don't believe in resetting your relationship. She's not a computer you can turn off and on again. You can't hit a button and go back to how things were. That's not how it works. What you need to do is address the situation head on. Get things started so that you can build back better, not reset, rebuild. Now, this conversation usually only works when you've done the previous steps, but it's a good way to be like, hey, look at what I'm doing. I understand how things are, and then invite her in to the experience and to share her emotions. You're addressing what happened directly. You're taking full responsibility of how your actions led to where you are now. You should have already done this, okay? First, and especially if you read our book or you've seen any of our videos, this is the first thing that we do really with clients. After we get them prepared for everything, we do that so we can have that massive change of pattern, extreme ownership, speaking her language, and then inviting her to share her feelings, which creates emotional safety, as well as to look at the process. And look, you're basically saying that you know you can work through this together, not by resetting it, but by rebuilding it. Think about a house that's been damaged. You don't just repaint it and call it fixed. You have to assess the damage, repair the foundation, and reinforce the structure. Only then can you rebuild it stronger than before. That's what the address situation does. It acknowledges the damage, repairs the foundation, and it builds something better. So let me tell you something. If you're thinking about whether you should just move on or find someone else, I get it. There's no doubt in my mind that there are thousands of women out there that you could connect with and have a great relationship with. But here's my personal belief. After doing this work for years, if you can work through dark moments with your current wife and come out on the other side with your spouse, you create a depth of meaning that you never thought possible. A level of intimacy and love so deep, you'll cry in gratitude. And I know this because we have men who are post-divorce, who are ex-husbands, and they get back together with their wife and they get their family back and they're just through the roof. And that love is deeper than ever before. But that only happens when you go through hard things together and work through them. That's why I think it's so important to fight for this. Because if you don't, you're likely to repeat the same problems in the next relationship. That's what we call is emotional residue. And honestly, look, all great societies are measured by the relationships that their people have. Look at around you. Look at the people that are telling you this, that, and the third. Most relationships are honestly horrible. So why are you going to do what everybody else is going to do? That's why what we do here is so important. Because governments are made up of societies. Societies are made up of communities. Communities are made up of people, okay, families. And families are made up of the masculine and the feminine. And holding it all together is the masculine. Now, before we wrap up, I want to give you one more opportunity, okay? Because what we're doing here isn't just helping you with your relationship, isn't just fixing your relationship, getting you guys back together when things or hopeless, all is lost. People feel like there is no light at the end of the tunnel. We are making the world a better place, one man, one family at a time. If you're ready to stop guessing and start leading with clarity, if you're tired of silence and ready to rebuild trust the right way, I want you to book a call with me and my team. It's completely free. We'll hear your specific situation and create a tailored roadmap to get you where you want to be. This isn't therapy. This isn't talking more. It's a proven system that helps hundreds of men save their marriage and restore their family. The link is in the description below. Click it and let's get started. Look, I know it's hard. I know it feels impossible sometimes, but trust can be rebuilt. Connection can be restored. You just need the right steps in the right order. Stop defending yourself and own it completely. Find your bleeding points instead of treating surface symptoms. Be authentic, not just honest. Establish your boundaries with strength. Back your word with action, and above all, first address the situation so you can rebuild something stronger. That's how you save your marriage. That's how you become the man she can trust again. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.